Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In this video, I'm going to provide you an update on where we stand on stimulus negotiations, what has been agreed to, what has not been agreed to, and why have we not made an agreement on this yet? What are the leftover provisions we are negotiating? Let's go through all of this right after I mentioned you should get 4 totally free stocks with a Webull. Deposit $100, make sure you do that, and then you will get 2 free stocks when you sign up, and then you'll get an extra 2 free stocks after your $100 clears, which means you will get at least $21 of free stocks up to $1,600 in free stocks. I know there are about 1,000 Apple stocks in this bunch that are going to be given away over the next couple weeks. So check out that link down below. It's right next to the link for life insurance you can get in as little as 5 minutes without talking to anyone. All right, as of Wednesday evening, the House and Senate leaders are still racing to get a stimulus deal done. Steny Hoyer sent out a schedule for Thursday, and we have no votes planned on the omnibus package, which, remember, the stimulus bill or stimulus bills will ride on the omnibus package to actually get passed. So the whole sort of a collective vote. So far, we do, according to Politico, have an agreement that the package will be $900 billion, give or take a little bit. It's going to be $900 billion, that's the target. And this will include direct payments and an unemployment boost. This has been decided. However, the details of this are still pending. Now, at this point, it does also seem unlikely that we are going to get this bill done by Friday. The odds of this actually passing by Friday at midnight are falling very quickly. I would say we're probably at about a 30% chance of this happening this week. Instead, it seems likely that we're going to push this out to either the 23rd or a Christmas Eve to pass this bill. Congressional leaders are already telling their members to prepare to work through the weekend. Kevin McCarthy says, we're working on the fine details, which we'll go through in a moment. Mitch McConnell says we're going to get there, and Chuck Schumer says, don't worry, a larger bill will come in January once Biden's around. So, what are the details that are causing a delay? Why is this not done yet? Well, first, we heard that negotiations on the omnibus package are pretty much done, which that's the first bout of good news, if we can call it that, because as of last week, Nancy Pelosi said there were still 300 hash and trash items to negotiate, which that's a lot of negotiating still to do. Right now, on stimulus though, negotiators are looking for ways to actually provide state and local government aid without actually providing state and local government aid. This is actually pissing off some Republicans because they see this as Democrats trying to sneak in state and local government funding. John Cornyn, for example, complained that Democrats are trying to hide this in, for example, FEMA funding. And some of this comes down to like the way things are written. For example, on this FEMA provision, Republicans are like, no, don't put that in there. That's going to cost $90 billion. And Democrats are like, what are you talking about? That's going to cost $1 billion. It's a huge difference. Is it going to be $1 billion or is it going to be $90 billion? You know, that's the difference between a $900 billion package and a $1 trillion package, roughly. And the Congressional Budget Office has not yet evaluated this provision, so we don't know. Maybe they'll evaluate it tomorrow. But it's getting down to those fine details. Now, in terms of stimulus checks, the size and the income cutoff is also being negotiated. So far, the income thresholds are likely to be the same income cutoffs we saw last time for the original stimulus check. But we're not sure. Is it going to be $600? Is it going to be $700? Why did John Thune say earlier that children would have double the amount? We don't know. We have still no idea about some of these exact details. Also, the amount of unemployment seems to be agreed upon. It seems like we are going to do the $300 per week as a federal boost, along with extending all of the other programs. But the length from 16 weeks, which would take us into about mid-April, might get cut down to 12 weeks. Now, there is also a potential provision that Republicans are trying to input that you can't double dip. That is, you won't be able to get a stimulus check and unemployment. Another thing still unresolved. Then another thing that's unresolved is for PPP funding. The individuals most concerned with PPP funding are saying, dude, we're not doing enough for small businesses. We need to give small businesses more money. We need to make sure restaurants have more money. Remember the last time they did the PPP was supposed to be for 8 weeks. 8 weeks is the biggest joke ever, given when we look back, they did nothing since that 8-week period other than say, okay, well, maybe we'll just say you could use the money we gave you for 8 weeks and spread it out over 24 weeks. Freaking incompetent. Anyway, Schumer is also proposing $17 billion in a provision called Save Our Stages, or the SOS amendment. And the SOS provisions would grant live venue operators, producers, promoters, or talent reps an SBA grant of up to $12 million. And that would be available to be spent on any expenses between March 1st and December 31st for those live venue operators, with a potential second grant of 50% of the amount of the first for the first 6 months of 2021. Wow, okay, so that's what they're bickering about. I do want to quickly also play about 4 minutes worth of what Bernie's POV is, because there's been a lot of heat about what Bernie's been saying, because people are suggesting that Bernie might blow up this whole stimulus negotiation, that he's actually hurting the odds of a stimulus deal getting done, although many people credit him for being one of the reasons we're seeing stimulus checks in the first place, although others say no, it was the Congressional Progressives Caucus. Who knows? Who cares? Let's just listen to what Bernie says for a few minutes. All right.
Up on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers say they are making progress on a new economic stimulus package is expected to include.
Haven't heard that before.
Direct payments to individuals, something that our next guest has been pushing for very, very strongly. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont is joining us from Capitol Hill. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. And I know this is an issue that is close to your heart. You've been critical of the current coronavirus relief proposals, saying they simply don't go far enough to do what is really needed. But from your perspective, on the latest information you're getting, what's missing?
Well, number one, the entire bill at $900 billion is much too low. It should be at least double that. So what's...
I mean, I agree with him. It should be larger, but I laugh because it's just, we missed that boat. Sorry, Nancy kind of messed that one up for us.
In this current bill is good, but it's not enough. Now, what I recognized a couple of weeks ago, that there were no direct payments going out to people in this country, many of whom are in desperate economic shape. As you well know, Wolf, we got a record-breaking level of hunger in America, higher than it's been for a very, very long time. You got millions of people who are facing eviction. They can't afford to pay their rent. They're going deeper into debt. And we're looking at people in the midst of the worst pandemic in 100 years who can't afford to go to the doctor because they don't have enough money. So what I have fought for, along with a Republican senator, Senator Hawley of Missouri, is to make sure there are direct payments similar to what we did in the CARES Act in March. And that would be $1,200 for every working class person in America, people under $75,000, a couple under $150,000, and $500 for each of their children. So a family.
The problem is, and I'm just going to throw this in because he's right. Honestly, like, that's the bare minimum of what we should do realistically at this point. It's been ridiculous. We were promised larger stimulus checks, right? But the problem is that would easily push this stimulus package over $1.1 trillion. And right now, Republicans are having a heartache over the fact that this is sneaking over $900 billion. So just reporting, not taking sides, but that is what's happening right now. Is 900 seems to be the psychological barrier.
Would get $3,400, which is not insignificant in this moment when so many people are hurting.
But just to be precise, that yet hasn't been accepted. What you want, right?
That is right. Where we're at right now, as I understand it, is we're between $600 and $700 for adults and $600 for children. So we are making progress, but I want us to go even further, because I think when you ask people out on the street, what is the most important thing the government can do in this terrible, terrible moment, they will say, give us some help. We need some help right now to pay the bills. And that's what we're trying to do.
Researchers have found, Senator, that since June, it's hard to believe this is happening in our country, some 7.8 million Americans have fallen into poverty. Now, these are people who had jobs, were making a living, they were paying the rent, buying food, doing what they needed to do, but now they are in poverty right now, and it's hard to believe this is going on. And what's so frustrating to me and so many others, why is it taking so long to help these millions of Americans?
Right. Well, I don't want to become overly political here, but it is clear to me that we have a Republican.
He wants to say it's McConnell's fault. We have a Republican, he was just getting ready to say.
Majority here in the Senate who has refused to entertain, and still refuses to entertain, the kind of funding that is needed to provide nutrition, to help people who are being evicted, to make sure that people in this crisis. Can you believe it? In the midst of this terrible pandemic, everyone's afraid of getting the virus, and you got 90 million people who are unable to go to the doctor when they get sick. So many of us had fought for adequate funding, and we've met very stiff resistance from Mitch McConnell and the Republican leadership. But, what we got now is not enough, but it is something. And I'm just simply happy to say that as we enter the holiday season, when so many people are worried about how they're going to pay their bills, whether they're going to get evicted, whether they're going to feed their kids, at least, among other things, there'll be $600 per adult and $600 per child as well. So that's a start. I want to do better.
So obviously, even though you want more, you'll vote in favor of this compromise, whatever emerges. Is that right?
I want to read the bill. It's a long, long bill. But I'm feeling good that we have made some progress at least. A week ago, as you know, nobody was talking about direct payments. We got something in the bill, and I want to thank my progressive friends in the House for their good work on this. We're making some progress.
Because, as I often say, and I've said it to the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, and others, when you're dealing with a crisis like this, you can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, because so many millions of people out there are suffering. You might not get everything, Senator, but you're going to get a bunch that will make life better for these people, right?
Well, one of the other things that we're going to get is extended unemployment benefits.
Now, I laugh there because what Wolf Blitzer just said was literally a conversation that he had with Nancy Pelosi, where he said, well, you shouldn't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, back when they were talking about doing the $1.9 trillion deal. And Nancy Pelosi's like, no, it's too small, so Wolf is almost trying to get vindication here. Oh, wow, what a connection.
Vindicated unemployment is very high. A lot of people have no income. It, again, doesn't go as far as I would want, but I think we're talking about a supplement of $300 on top of regular unemployment. I think it's now for 13 weeks. And also, I should point out, Wolf, importantly, that I think President-elect Biden fully understands the nature of the crisis. As soon as his administration is in office, I think we can expect to see a significant step forward in addressing a lot of what was not dealt with in this bill. So this is
interesting. So he just gave us a little insight that he actually thinks it's going to be 13 weeks. Maybe that's where talks are right now on unemployment, 12 to 13 weeks. He's also talking and reiterating that when Biden comes in, that's where we're going to see that bigger package.
In a sense, a down payment. This is not the end of the discussion. The American people, working families are hurting. We have got to respond. We're doing something now. We'll do more when Biden takes office.
When do you expect this vote to happen? It's got to happen within the next few days, but do you have a timeline?
I don't think anybody really knows that right now.
But you're going to stay in D.C. until this is done. You're not going back to Vermont.
I am not, and I don't think anybody can or should. We cannot go back to our families when so many families in this country are hurting right now. We've got to get this done.
I know.
Right on. Okay, now they're going to talk about the vaccine and the virus. But honestly, I mean, Bernie's right here. Like him or not, he's right. We should have $1,200 stimulus checks. We do need to do more as a country. Let's go quickly just look at the letter that the Republicans released today. Nothing out of the ordinary here, making or major headway out on this sort of targeted pandemic relief package. What's fascinating about this is Mitch McConnell is already trying to brand this new package as basically what he's been calling for the entire last, 6-7 months. See, he's always been saying we need a targeted relief package. And so look, targeted relief package. So that way he can claim credit afterwards. Gosh, I hate politics so much. We're committed to continuing these urgent discussions urgently until we have an agreement. And we agreed we should not leave town until we've made law. The American people need more help. It's that simple. Further targeted relief is now months overdue. Again, just trying to really blame the other side here, which we know it's both of their sides' faults. We need the vaccine distribution money. We need to re-up the PPP to save jobs. We need to continue to provide for laid-off Americans. Congressional leaders on both sides are going to keep working until we get it done. Okay, well, it's optimistic. It's certainly more promising than all the stuff that we've heard over the past, although there have been very promising times in the past. Very, very promising times in the past. I mean, I remember Mark Meadows jumping up and down going, this is the most enthusiastic I've been about stimulus in the last 72 days, in the last 72 hours. And that was, back in like September. So yeah. Anywho, that's the update for today. Get your 4 free stocks, get your life insurance. Thank you so much for watching. This is the latest we have. And folks, I will see you next time.